In every country, all over the world, there seems to be a problem. Money and saving it trumps higher in importance than saving human lives. The chemicals human beings have lived with throughout the existence of us on this planet, such as arsenic, cyanide, nerve agents that spies might have used in foreign wars, nuclear energy, which was used in all sorts of products. These started as chemicals that were designed to make our lives better, to make us feel content and happy with our lives without any nuisances, without any problems. But these chemicals poisoned us. And the more they poisoned us, the more regulations that were put in place, rightfully so. And it is hard to believe that in some parts of the world, and even in our own hometown, there is debate that such deadly poisons, and even poisons that are deadlier, still exist in our backyard, in the world's backyard. It is a scary thought to think, but it is happening. In 2018, I remember watching the TV. It was a normal day. It was really close to Christmas, I remember. And I saw this news article on the TV. It was breaking news. People were dying at a temple in India. They were getting sick, and at that point, no one seemed to know why, but people were just dying and dropping like flies, one on top of the other. And this is what got me interested to the injustices that were occurring due to these toxic substances that still exist unregulated in some parts of the world. An article in the Telegraph by Saptarshi Ray states that 15 people died due to these poisonings that happened at this temple. It was after they ate rice that was offered to them as a religious offering. And an ABC News article from Australia states that these victims had gastrointestinal food poisoning-like symptoms before death occurred, and that the people who survived the attack were still being treated for these symptoms, but they could just hold it off longer. But it was a prolonged attack, so it started out that people thought less people died, and then, as things progressed, the number went from 10 initially to 15. That's 5 people that died days after eating this rice. The same Guardian article by Saptarshi Ray states that this tragedy was intentional and that these 4 people, intentionally poisoned this temple of others. The motive is unknown, but the motive was to kill, using this deadly poison that was available. And these 4 people were charged with murder. This case drew comparison to a case that happened 5 years earlier in the city of Bihar. This was even larger, and I didn't even know this till I started researching this temple poisoning, that this was such a common occurrence. And I learned about this thing in Bihar, which was even larger and even sadder, because these people were the most innocent of victims. They were small school children. 22 innocent lives were taken that day, as stated by a BBC article, after eating a midday meal provided to them by their school. Similar to the temple victims, these children experienced gastrointestinal symptoms, and by then it was too late. These children started to fade away. Whereas the temple poisoning was a heinous crime, this poisoning was a heartbreaking, careless accident caused by cooking oil stored in a container once used to store a very certain kind of pesticide. These children simply wanted a good meal. The victims at the temple simply wanted to practice their religion and share holy food. But their lives were cut short by pesticide contamination of a substance that shouldn't have been anywhere near them. But this isn't anywhere near uncommon. A Journal of Young Pharmacists article by Aswari Atamaram, Bhagwan, Preeti, Kavya, and Jabin state that pesticide poisoning deaths are very common in India, especially among farmers who work in close proximity with these chemicals. The pesticide used in both the school and the temple poisoning, monocrotophos, is perfectly legal in India, with an Al Jazeera article that states that many countries have called for India to ban this substance, but the government still lets it be sold and used, despite the expense in human life. Chemicals such as monocrotophos are basically nerve agents that you can buy on a grocery store shelf. I believe that the only reason that these are still used is to save money. On a large scale, it only endangers farmers, which is still horrible because these are people that provide and they shouldn't be dying because of what they need to do for their job. There should be innovation. There should be a safer alternative. But it doesn't seem like there is. But something needs to be done about these deadly chemicals being available to everybody and anyone. Incidents like the one in Bihar and crimes like the one in the temple should never ever happen, and they should never have the chance of happening. Human life is way too important. Thank you.